Hey everybody, this is an issue that comes up all the time, and I thought I would just do a dedicated video to the important aspects of how to determine the sex of a bear when it's on the hoof, specifically if you're just looking at pictures or video on a trail camera. It's actually very difficult, especially for younger bears. For big old mature bears, it's not quite so hard. I mean, a big male that's 6 to 8 years old or older, when he walks in front of your camera, you know it's a big male. But there's a lot of other factors to look at and determine that we can look at. So let's kind of walk through the differences and the things specific things about their body features. And if you get specific things on your camera, you'll definitely know the difference between a male and a female. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And let's face it, there's no substitute for experience. I've just looked over thousands and thousands of bears in person and in trail cameras, and over time I've gotten pretty good at it, but still it's hard at times to tell the difference, and I still make mistakes, and I probably always will. So the first thing let's talk about is just the size of bears, okay? Males just get bigger than females. If there's a 500-pound bear out there, it's not a female. The biggest female I've ever seen in person was 350 pounds, and that's an extremely unusual situation. Let's just put it this way: a female bear, a sow that's over 200 pounds, is a big sow, really big sow. And I'll show you some skull sizes too to help give you an example, because these do relate to body sizes. This is the skull of an 11-year-old female that weighed about 180 pounds on the pad, okay? This is the skull of a male. Oops, coming apart on me there. This is the skull of a male. This is a 21-inch skull. This one here won't quite make Pope and Young. It's just over 16 inches. This is a 21-inch skull of a male that weighed 400 pounds and was only, it was 6 or 7 years old, I believe the tooth sample came back at. This is an older male that was 20 inches, and I didn't get a tooth sample back on this one, but just by the body of the bear. It was about a 250-pound spring bear, but it's a 20-inch bear, so it makes not the all-time Boone and Crockett. But then this is a 500-pound bear right here, okay, 19 3/8 inch skull. That was a big old male, and see the comparison between that skull and the female, a pretty average size female skull. So big males, big bears are always males. Anything, if you figure 250 pounds and up, it's probably a male. But then let's talk about the body shape characteristics of these bears that are other things that when you see them, you can kind of tell. And here's the deal. Okay, adult female bears have big butts. Okay? The male bears, adult male bears, will be bigger and blockier in the shoulders. Their front legs will be looking more muscular, and they'll have more of a thicker chest to them. Where these female bears, their shoulders are smaller and they taper out, and they're like a pear, like the shape of a pear, where they have bigger butts, and that's kind of the shape of them. They also have, females have kind of smaller ankles and smaller feet and more tapered legs, where the forearms or lower legs of the front legs on a male bear will look more muscular and so forth. So the overall body shape is the whole male will look blockier, while the female looks like she's bigger in the back end. If you see a bear that's kind of lanky looking, kind of has long legs, and his body's all sort of like tubular, it's probably a male. And you see this more in the spring when they don't weigh as much, but that's most likely a male. The other thing is, another really good identifying factor is the size and shape of the head. Males just have big wide heads. Females have more tapered V-shaped muzzles with narrower noses, and their heads aren't as blocky and wide. So that's another factor that you can take into consideration. You can usually distinguish the neck more on a female. The females will have a little bit longer neck. The males will have a thick, blocky neck that actually looks more like it just kind of goes from the shoulders right into the head, rather than having a, kind of a more stretched out neck. If you see a bear with scars on his face and on his ears, maybe a chunk bit out of his ear or something like that, it's probably a male, because the males fight a lot more than females, so that's another factor. And of course, you got the most important factors that sometimes they'll just show you their stuff, and if they show you their stuff, then it's really easy to tell. You can see the penis sheath on a male. Sometimes you'll see the testicles. And here's the thing that you can really look for to determine a sow, especially on trail camera pictures, and that is that they have a long tuft of hair generally, not the youngest ones, but once they're old enough to be able to breed, they'll have this long tuft of hair on their vulva, and it's very obvious if you know what to look for. And anytime you see that, you know you're looking at a sow. Another thing to look for is on a sow, you'll typically see the teats if they've had cubs that year. If they've had cubs the year before and they're alone, of course in most states they're legal to shoot, but you can't typically see the teats. But if you can, that probably means they've got cubs nearby, so you want to be careful about that. So hopefully that gives you some good visuals and some talking points and so forth, things that you can determine the difference between a sow and a boar. And like I said, in these younger bears, you know, anything under about 4 years old, it's pretty hard to tell the difference just because they sort of just look alike. But once they get beyond that age, they sort of get to that breeding age, and when they start to more develop, then the boars and the sows get more and more easier to distinguish by using these features. So I hope this really helps you out. Go back through some of your trail camera pictures, or maybe some of your video footage that you've got on some of your hunts, and see if you can't do a better job of determining males from females. You know, I can still make mistakes, and I have a couple times just in the last few years, and I've shot 37 bears. So, but it's good for conservation to harvest more males, and so that's what we're after, and hopefully this video will help you do that. Thanks for joining me. We got more videos coming up. Thanks for being a subscriber, and we'll see you on the next video.